alignment inside that university. That is a very well-run athletic department. And they did a great job of, they had Nick Saban and they said, okay, we're never going to have it this good again. You only get one of these guys. Well, they've had two, Bear Bryant, Nick Saban. You don't get, you can't just hire the next Nick Saban because there ain't going to be another Nick Saban. But they did a lot of stuff to line up so that their next coach would have all the advantages that Alabama has possible. So there's a lot of reason for Kalen DeBoer to stay, and he may want to stay, and I think he likes his team. You've not seen a lot of guys jump into that transfer portal or anything from that school. But on the flip side, you lose one game in Michigan, and it's not the Paul Feinbaum show blowing up all day with people screaming. You are not expected to win 6 national titles at your rate. If you're going to the playoff, you're reasonably beating Ohio State, at some kind of reasonable level. You're competing for national titles. You put out a successful, you're going to be very, very popular. You're going to coach a long time at the University of Michigan. So a little bit of it is just that bit. Alabama is an incredible place, but it is a little bit of a fishbowl.
I'm wondering about it because he had 4 losses last year. He's got 3 losses now. He loses to Oklahoma. It's going to be 4 losses.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Nick Saban. I mean, 2 losses would have people pulling their hair out under the Nick Saban era. And this man just got there and already has lost, 7 games in 2 years. So are you hearing anything about him having regrets about being at Alabama? I don't know whether that's true or not. I'm asking you.
No, not regrets. Kalen DeBoer, if there was one guy with the personality to say, yeah, I'll follow Saban, it's Kalen DeBoer. He is fearless. He was, he worked small colleges. He worked his way up in this business. He got to Washington. He took over Fresno State. Then he got to Washington. Some of his play calling at Washington. He would, fourth. There's a very famous play where they won a game over Washington State is 4th and 9 or something, and he goes for it on this trick play. Like he walked in and said, "Yeah, no problem," right? So I don't think he regrets it at all. He's at the University of Alabama, and he's got a really good team. They've had a lot of injuries, but we'll see what happens, right? He's coaching Alabama, so this is not a guy that plays with regret. There's no rearview mirror and all of that, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't. These are coaches. They're always strategizing. They're always looking ahead. And yeah, if you lose a lot of games, maybe say, look, here's another option up here that's really good. And maybe it's in a better spot. The one thing when it comes to modern college football is money. And, Alabama, for all of its might and all of the SEC resources and everything, compared to to a state like Michigan, an alumni base like Michigan, it can't compare. Michigan is an extremely wealthy university. It's about a $20 billion endowment, but it also has access to numerous billionaires, including Larry Ellison, the second richest man in the world, whose wife is a massive, massive Michigan fan and got in on getting Bryce Underwood, the number 1 recruit in the country, to go to Michigan, like hands-on. So the resources that you would have almost in a bottomless way makes a Michigan as good as Alabama is. This is kind of like a Dodgers Yankees kind of thing, where those, like, Michigan's one of those where you're just like, oh yeah, I would have signed this guy. I would have signed this guy. You're not going to have that at some of these schools. The script is flipped in college football that way. You don't just need money at your institution or a commitment to football at your institution. Alabama has that, but what's going around in the state? Do you have a ton of money? What do your alums do? Right. Who is this? Michigan churn out a lot of good football players. They churn out a lot of Wall Street. They churn out a lot of finance guys. They turn out a lot of hedge fund guys, consulting guys, and that's where the real money is.
2 last questions before I let you get on out of here. If this were a year ago and you were talking to me, I'd have brought up the name primetime Deion Sanders. Colorado, fresh off a 9-4 season, with Shedeur Sanders balling for them, Travis Hunter balling for them, the eventual Heisman Trophy winner, Deion Sanders, and, just a preeminent face in college football. I would have thought about that just thinking about his recruiting prowess at a spot like the University of Michigan. I'd have said, go after him. Now, obviously, this year they were 3-9, and so as a result of that, along with his health issues, some people say, "Hell no, no way at all." But I'm also thinking about Ohio State, and I'm thinking about the powerhouse they are as the reigning defending national champions, and I'm thinking about the phenomenal job Ryan Day has done. He'll be on the show at the top of hour number 2, by the way, and I'm saying to myself, you've got to take competing against him into consideration, because just a tad bit shy of winning the national championship, it's beating Ohio State if you're at Michigan. Whether it's primetime Deion Sanders or anybody else, is there a name that stands out in your mind, knowing the game the way you know it, Dan, that should be given strong consideration for all that entails Michigan that could potentially be an ideal candidate in your eyes?
So I think there's two ways to look at this Michigan job, and I agree with you. I thought I've said all along, if we could have got Coach Prime in the SEC at one of those jobs, the recruiting would have been incredible. Colorado,
Yes.
Colorado's he took over a 1-10 team that lost their 1-11. They lost their 11 games by an average of 31 points. Like, this is not a good
Right.
program. There's not a lot of local talent. You put him in the South, or you put him where he can get players. Especially the way he recruits due to his health. Unfortunately, and he's had to adapt, and his attitude's like, I don't go to high schools to recruit. I don't leave. You have to come to me. That's a
Right.
hard way to build a program. Like, because
Yeah.
if Deion Sanders walks into your high school, in one of those talent programs in South Florida or North Texas or something, like, the whole school's going to go crazy, right? Everyone's going to go crazy, and he's going to scoop some of these kids up. He doesn't do that. He sits there and says, all right, this is how I'm going to get the roster. That's a tough way to go, especially at
Yeah.
Colorado, because you're not just driving by
No doubt.
Boulder. 5-star recruits aren't just driving by with their dad going, oh, maybe we'll stop me in
Correct.
here. Where are they going? Wyoming? So if he got to one of those places, but I think the health concerns is really the big thing. You don't know how long he's going to coach, what's going on, but I've always wanted to see Coach Prime at a program that really fit him better than Colorado. He's done some good work at Colorado, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know who the proper coach, and that's kind of my other thing. All the stuff I mentioned before about what Michigan can bring to the table, that matters a lot more necessarily than like the personality of a coach. You need a really good coach. Jim Harbaugh is not a recruiter. Jim Harbaugh's a kind of awkward guy. He wasn't a good,
Yeah.
but he got his guys, and then he coached. One thing Jim Harbaugh is, say anything you want about him,
You can
hell of a
coach.
coach. Hell of a coach. He's
Hell
won
of a coach.
everywhere. And
No
so if
doubt.
you get the right guy just who can coach at these programs, you should do really well. Maybe you don't beat Ohio State. Ohio State's an absolute wagon. They got everything rolling. They recruit better than anybody. They transfer portal ahead of everyone. They scheme better than anybody, pretty much. They've got it rolling. But you're not that far behind them at Michigan. And I think if you just get the right, you don't have to be a big personality. You just have to be a really good coach these days.
Last question for you, real quick. I got to run, and I appreciate your time, Dan. Sharon Moore. Does a college football coach, particularly in this day and age, recover from such a scenario that he now finds himself in? How do you come back from this if you're Sharon Moore?
Yeah, I don't know. Professionally, I don't know. I'm sure there's a way. I think right now he needs, he's got personal and legal issues to
Yeah.
come back from that are just significant. And that's really the tragedy of this story all involved. It's a really unfun story to follow and cover. And I know the public has a lot of fun with, everyone jumps on it and all that, but there's real people involved in this thing in multiple directions, his family, his children, all that. But Sharon Moore needs to take care of Sharon Moore right now. He's in a very, very serious situation, both personally and legally, that transcend that. But can he come back and coach someday? I'm sure. That's just but it ain't gonna be soon. He's got a lot to work out.
And here's the deal. Dan, forgive me for bringing this up. He's gotten fired with cause, which means he doesn't have a check coming. That
No,
$14 million buyout, he doesn't get that. That $5.6 million salary, he doesn't get any more of that. And on top of it all, he's got additional bills coming down the pike because of his legal situation. It's not good.
no.
It's not good at all. Dan Wetzel, senior writer, multimedia journalist, New York Times best-selling author, right here with Stephen A. on SiriusXM, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Dan, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, buddy.
Anytime, man. Really enjoyed it.
Same here. One and only Dan West, one of the best in the business covering college sports. I can tell you that much. I've known